Oh, it is. It is a Thursday episode of Donno Daily here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. I am Alex Donno. Okay, thank God. I was going to ask you guys, everyone watching this, to do me a favor in the live chat and tell me if you can hear me. Can you hear the words that are coming out of my mouth? Because during the pre-show, I was trying to chat with Manny, our producer, Manny Chang, and he couldn't hear me. But thank God you guys can hear me, because this is an important show today, guys. We may actually be closer to having our guy. We may actually be this close to the Miami Dolphins having their next head coach. Now, and thank you. I just got a message from Marla who says you are audible. Okay, so there you go. If she says I'm audible, and if those of you who are in the chat say that I'm audible, I think we're good to go. Do us a solid. Smash the like button for us. Whether you're watching us live or you watch this on delay later on, you watch the YouTube replay, smash the like button and make sure you subscribe to the 5 Reasons Sports Network. So the man who seems to have emerged as the favorite is Brian Daboll, offensive coordinator of the Buffalo Bills. Former offensive coordinator of the Miami Dolphins. He spent a year on Tony Sparano's staff back in 2011. Oh, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for answering the question, David. Answer the question with another question. So, okay, the big momentum for Brian Daboll, it started last night into this morning. Here's a tweet from Pat Leonard of the New York Daily News. Now, New York Daily News, Brian Daboll has also been a candidate for the New York Giants job. In fact, within the last couple of days, it was strongly rumored that Daboll was the favorite for the Giants. And let's not forget, the former Buffalo assistant GM is now the GM in the New York Giants, so that was something that seemed to be linking Daboll towards New York. Now Daboll is mostly getting linked towards Miami today. So Pat Leonard from the New York Daily News tweeted out, several sources believe Bills offensive coordinator Brian Daboll is the favorite to be the Miami Dolphins' next head coach if Daboll takes that job. Dan Quinn, more on him in a second, and Brian Flores are the leading contenders to be the Giants' next head coach. To me, New York Giants have done significant work on both. Now, within the last hour or so, it's been revealed, Ian Rappaport reported this, Dan Quinn has actually taken his name out of every coaching search. He's been linked to multiple coaching searches around the NFL, including Miami and including the Giants. Dan Quinn is now telling teams he's staying with the Cowboys. So cross him off the Giants list, cross him off the Dolphins list. So if you go by that from a Giants point of view, if Daboll may be off the table for New York, then that might mean Flo is now the favorite in New York. And if Quinn is no longer a part of the process to become a head coach, then you can cross him off the Dolphins list. Although it sounds like Daboll to Miami could be something. Our friend Jason Sarney from Phinmaniacs, he's been on fire with a lot of reports this morning. We're actually going to be having one of his colleagues on with us. Brandon Liguori from Phinmaniacs.com is going to join us here shortly. But his colleague Jason Sarney had a few interesting nuggets today. And I know he's got a couple of close sources that he talks to who have been giving him information during this process. Let me read you a few of Jason Sarney's tweets. He said this morning, as per the same source who told me Thomas Brown was interviewed last week, which he was, there is clarity today on a finish line being crossed with a man currently in Miami. Brian Daboll, as per the source, very well could be reviewing a contract at the moment. And then he wrote again in quotes to emphasize the word reviewing. So if I take that report and I say, okay, Daboll is allegedly here, and if he's reviewing a contract, it means he and his agent have a contract in their hands right now, and they could be dotting the I's and crossing the T's. So that's how close we might be, okay? Like anything else, my friends, we take all this with a grain of salt. Whether you're talking about the Dolphins or any other team, you take this all with a grain of salt because it looked like Daboll a couple days ago was going to land for sure with the Giants. There was a time when it looked like Flo was going to land in Houston and, such and such guy might land in Miami until you actually see, what my guy Vishnu Parasuraman, who's a Real Madrid fan, would refer to as the comunicado oficial. It's usually when a soccer team in Spain, like a think it's like comunicato ufficiale, I think would be the Italian way to say it. You get that official word from the team announcing who they've hired. Until you get one of those, until you get the official announcement, it's still reports and even speculation to that point. But there is a lot of momentum for Daboll. Jason Sarney also tweeted a follow-up to that. He says, I am told they are in the final reviewing stages of a finalized contract to hire. If he accepts, it is looking like Brian Daboll will be the new coach of the Miami Dolphins after a search that included several names, including Vance Joseph and Thomas Brown and others. I didn't have an episode yesterday. The last time I had an episode before yesterday, Tuesday, a lot of people were saying Vance Joseph was the front runner for the job. If you actually watch the episode, some people just see the headline and then they'll comment on the headline. If you actually watch the episode, you know that I wasn't really buying that. Like, it sounded to me like Vance Joseph was a candidate, is a candidate, but they would only offer him if a couple of other people said no, including Brian Daboll. So if Brian Daboll does say no, then maybe they circle back to a guy like Vance Joseph. Hold on, I'm just reading this from Level 2 Noob. He says, Ian Rappaport is reporting Dolphins just scheduled second interviews for next week. He says, sorry, Rappaport just tweeted they plan to have second interviews next week despite activity. Dolphins in no hurry. Brooklyn Rob says, don't believe the reporting. All these guys have been off on all the crap that they spew. Now, I wouldn't say that personally about Jason, who does a great job, but even when you have sources can be wrong, right? Even when you have good quality sources, you can't assume the source knows 1,000% what they're telling you, right? And it may be true. It may be true that Daboll is reviewing a contract right now, but there may be certain revisions that they want. And here's a final tweet from Jason Sarney. He said, I am told, and I've heard this as well, whether it's Miami or anywhere else, I've also heard this rumor and this report going around. He says, I am told Brian Daboll would bring quarterback assistant Ken Dorsey if he becomes Miami head coach, that he would bring Ken Dorsey home to South Florida. I had also heard the same thing about New York. I had heard that if Brian Daboll takes the New York Giants job, he would bring Ken Dorsey with him there. So if that's true, it stands to reason he would bring Dorsey here. I have a little bit of trouble wrapping my head around that one. Maybe Ken Dorsey really cares about where he lives and he doesn't want to live in Buffalo. Obviously, he's got Miami ties. I'm sure Dorsey would love to live back in South Florida. But at the same time, if you're just talking from a football standpoint, it seems very likely that if Daboll leaves Buffalo, probably will leave Buffalo, Buffalo would offer Ken Dorsey their offensive coordinator job to replace Daboll, which is a promotion. He's a quarterback's coach now. He's very well liked in Buffalo. Josh Allen loves him. Josh Allen loves Ken Dorsey. He's already publicly endorsed Dorsey to be his OC if Daboll leaves. So if I just look at it from a football point of view, okay, and yes, I am a Dolphins fan. Some of you might be angry to hear this, but it's the truth. If you look at it from a football standpoint, if he's going to be the OC of either Miami, you can throw the Giants into the mix as well, Miami, New York Giants, or Buffalo Bills, the best OC job out of those three, it's Buffalo, and it's not close. Right? I mean, you already have a team that is so close to being a Super Bowl team. You've already got one of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League right now. And Dorsey has already done a lot of work with Josh Allen. So why not continue that project? Or maybe he's the type of guy who wants to start fresh with a new project. But Buffalo is a lot closer offensively and total. Buffalo is a lot closer to winning a chip than Miami and a lot closer than the New York Giants. And I know we have members of TuaNon who watch this show, but unless you're on all kinds of hallucinogens, you can't really believe that Tua Tagovailoa is better than Josh Allen. Certainly not right now, and probably not ever, right? So that's why I have a hard time. If Dorsey would really get an offer from Buffalo to be their offensive coordinator, I have a hard time thinking he leaves Buffalo, but maybe he just loves working with Daboll. Maybe he'd want to live in Miami again. So and some of the rumors that I've heard about Daboll is when he gets a head coaching job, not only would he bring Ken Dorsey with him, he would also get Wink Martindale, the former Ravens DC, to be his DC here in New York or wherever. And that would be one hell of a staff, man. That would be one hell of a staff. Here's a note from a Pro Football Network PFN story this morning on Daboll. Sources tell PFN that there's a difference of opinion within the building, the Dolphins building, that is, over what to prioritize. hiring someone with head coaching experience, and they write in parentheses, like Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn no longer on the market as of today, or Vance Joseph, who is on the market, or a star offensive mind who can develop quarterback Tua Tagovailoa. They say Dolphins owner Stephen Ross's 3 head coach hires to this point have all been first-time head coaches. All 3 were gone within 4 years of their hire. He says, still, Ross is very much open to trying again if the fit is right. Daboll is held in high regard within the Dolphins' power structure for the job he's done developing Josh Allen over the past 4 years. So here's a tweet from Mike Giardi. He says, I kind of talked about this already go ahead, Manny. You got something?
Yeah, I don't know if you read this tweet from Rappaport, but he says that Miami plans to have second interviews regardless what happens.
Yes.
Right
So
now,
somebody sent a message in about that. Yeah.
So Miami still plans to have second rounds of interviews before naming a coach next week. So guys, be another week of drama.
Oh my God. I just want it to be over. I was kind of hoping it would be over at some point today, right? And Daboll's not my top choice, but he's not my bottom choice either. How about that for an endorsement? He's not my top choice, but he's not my bottom choice. Okay. I think Vance Joseph would be probably near the bottom, or Kellen Moore, but I don't like, a lot of people are saying Kellen Moore's not getting a coaching job this cycle. Thomas Brown, I don't think he's ready either. But no, Brian Daboll is not my top choice, but he's not my bottom choice either. Okay, so David writes in, it's the Dolphins. The drama will never end. It seems to never end. And unfortunately, hey, like a lot of us were really excited when Adam Gase got hired. 3 years later, disaster. We're looking for a new coach. A lot of us were excited when Flo got hired. And, Flo actually had 2 straight winning seasons. Still, at the end of the day, he gets fired. We're looking for a new coach. That's been the cycle of mediocrity, right? It goes back, really ever since Jimmy. Like it goes back to that. I mean, and Dave Wanstead was actually the last guy that they hired, and it wasn't Ross. That was Wayne Huizenga. But Dave Wanstead was the last head coach the Dolphins hired with previous head coaching experience. They actually made the playoffs for a couple of years with Dave. They won a playoff game the first year with Dave. And there was a precipitous drop in the later years. And we've been in quicksand. We've been in mud ever since then. So I came up with a list. If Daboll really is the favorite, and again, New York Daily News report, Brian Daboll has emerged as the favorite. Our guy Jason Sarney has made it sound like they're down to the last details, but then Ian Rappaport says they're interviewing more candidates. Regardless of how close this is to getting done, I have long believed that Brian Daboll is the favorite. I believe that for over a week now. So if they are escalating things with Daboll, it doesn't surprise me one bit. I've come up with my personal list of pros and cons for Daboll, and a couple people tweeted me theirs as well. And I will tell you, my pros outweigh my cons in terms of quantity. I have more pros than cons. Now, a couple of the cons I think are pretty important things here, but here's my list of pros for Brian Daboll if he does become the next Miami Dolphins head coach. Number 1, offensive-minded coach, which I think is absolutely what the Dolphins need. I think that they need to get somebody in steering the ship who's an expert on that side of the football. You need to maintain the defense, but you need to fix the offense, and you're more likely to fix the offense with an offensive-minded guy. So that's a pro. Another pro, Brian Daboll, he knows the AFC East very well, and thus he knows the Dolphins personnel well, having prepared to face them twice per season for the last 4 years. And he comes, of course, from within the AFC East, so he knows the division very well. Now, some people would say this is a con. I'm going to list it as a pro, okay? He knows Tua Tagovailoa very well. Worked with Tua, was even part of his recruitment out of Hawaii to Alabama. He seems to really like Tua. He made that comment about his keyhole accuracy. So this is obviously something Stephen Ross wants. Like, I think one of the criteria for this job search was they wanted to find somebody who's willing and even eager to work with Tua, because the previous head coach wasn't. The previous head coach wasn't working for Tua. He was working against Tua. So I have my reservations about Tua. I don't think he's ever going to be an elite quarterback, but I would prefer, if he's going to be my quarterback next year, and it seems like that's not up for debate, he's going to be my quarterback next year, I would prefer the head coach to try and put him in a position to succeed and not allegedly try to sabotage him behind the scenes. So I'm going to say that's, Daboll knowing Tua and liking Tua, I'm going to say that's a pro. Another pro, building on that point, okay? Brian Daboll has a good track record working with quarterbacks. There is a chicken or an egg conversation to be had, though. How much of the credit for Josh Allen do we give to Brian Daboll? Because, depending on who you talk to, hey, you see Josh Allen, how good he is? That's Brian Daboll, baby. That's the Daboll factor. Other people will say, hey, you see how good Josh Allen is? That's the Ken Dorsey factor. And then other people will say, hey, you see how good Josh Allen is? He worked his ass off to get there. Don't give the credit to a coach. Give the credit to him, okay? So, but obviously he does have a track record working well with quarterbacks. And yeah, it does sound like Brian Daboll can build a staff, right? We talked about the rumors linking him to bringing Ken Dorsey down here, which I would love. Dorsey's been a successful quarterbacks coach. I think he's ready to be an OC. Potentially Wink Martindale to coach the defense, which I think would be awesome. If Daboll can actually bring them, that's a big group of coordinators. Those are my big time pros. My cons are, and for a lot of us, this con might outweigh any of the pros. No head coaching experience, right? No head coaching experience. That's number one. And number two is, did the Dolphins have they limited their coaching search to not the best candidate, period, but the best candidate who likes Tua rather than the best? Because, maybe there are some candidates who say, yeah, I don't really want to work with this guy. So, okay, we need to find someone who does. And another con, and I kind of threw this in as a bonus. This is for the nerds out there. He's not Mike McDaniel. Oh, that's a con, right? I know our guy. I haven't seen him in the live chat because he's probably crying into a pillow right now. Kai Chen Chisholm, who I think is Mike McDaniel's agent, or he should be. Because it doesn't sound to me like Mike McDaniel is getting enough consideration here or anyone else. I'm sure Kai is very upset about that. Let's bring on our first guest of the day. I don't know if he's upset about this. And I don't know. But Brandon Liguori, who does an awesome job, Phinmaniacs.com. He's a good friend of the show. How likely do you think Daboll is, right? Because, your colleague, who's a good friend of mine and I love, Jason Sarney, has been tweeting about perhaps this is getting finalized with Daboll, who I do believe is the favorite for this job, right? And then Ian Rappaport says the Dolphins are doing another round of interviews. So where do you think we are in this process?
Well, first, good afternoon, Alex. Really, Brian Daboll might be the favorite for the next head coaching job for the Miami Dolphins, replacing Brian Flores. And I was listening to you before you had brought me on. Being an offensive-minded guy like Daboll, we've seen Josh Allen's growth, especially. I mean, if you did not watch that AFC divisional round game this past Sunday night, I mean, Josh Allen truly showed that he is the real deal. I mean, you can really legitimately put Josh Allen's name within the top 3 to 4 quarterbacks of the National Football League. And, we really don't know whether we credit Brian Daboll for Josh Allen's success or we credit quarterbacks coach Ken Dorsey. But regardless of the matter is that if Brian Daboll does become the next head coach of the Miami Dolphins, Tua Tagovailoa, who is expected to start week 1 of the 2022 season, bearing some, drastic changes, he worked with, Daboll. Daboll was Tua's offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach in 2017 at the University of Alabama, the same year that Tua threw the game-winning touchdown pass to Devontae Smith to walk it off in the national title game against Georgia. So even though Brian Daboll doesn't have the head coaching experience, you see the offensive numbers that Buffalo puts up on a week-to-week basis. I mean, look at the 2 games that they even played against us this past season. I believe they shut us out week 2 at Hard Rock Stadium 35-0, and then playing on the road on Halloween. It seems like Brian Daboll, he knows the Dolphins so well. And Josh Allen, since being drafted in 2018, he's only lost 1 game against the Dolphins. So Brian Daboll, Brian Daboll really, him getting hired wouldn't really disappoint me. I mean, Mike McDaniel, he is, the offensive coordinator for the 49ers. He is still a hot name out there. I mean, it'll be interesting to see what they do this upcoming Sunday in the NFC title game against Sean McVay's Rams. But, based off what I am hearing from Jason Sarney, it does maybe seem like Brian Daboll might just be inducted as the next Miami Dolphins head coach.
We're joined here by Brandon Liguori, Phinmaniacs.com. Has he been your favorite all along? Like when this job came open, who were some of the guys you thought initially, hey, these are the people, or this is the person I want to see coaching the Dolphins next?
To be honest, Alex, yes. And the reason,
really,
the reason being is because Daboll's experience being in the AFC East, and really, I mean, any Dolphins fan could honestly admit that Daboll has consistent success against the Miami Dolphins since taking over as the Bills' offensive coordinator. He's been the hot name. You take a look at the two guys who were hired today, Matt Eberflus going from the Colts defensive coordinator to the head coach for the Chicago Bears, and Nathaniel Hackett going from the Green Bay offensive coordinator to now the head coach for the Denver Broncos. It'll now be interesting to see really whether Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers follow Hackett's spot and make their move to the AFC West. But again, it really wouldn't surprise me if Daboll does become the next head coach. He is really still a young guy. He's only 46 years old, and I think it would be really interesting to see. Give Brian Daboll, who we once upon a time was the offensive coordinator for Miami back in 2011. So it will be interesting to see if Daboll is awarded the head coaching job. Stephen Ross gave Adam Gase a chance. It obviously didn't work out. He gave Joe Philbin a chance. It obviously didn't work out. And, surprise of the matter is he gave Brian Flores a chance. And a lot of Dolphins fans, including myself, thought he was going to be awarded a fourth year.
Yeah, me too.
He wasn't presented that.
Yeah. So, do you put a lot of stock into the staff rumors? Because I talked about this a little bit with Dorsey. There's a lot of noise that Daboll, whether it's Miami or even if he's still in play for the New York Giants, that he's going to bring Ken Dorsey with him. That it only surprises me here because if I look at it from the outside looking in, it seems to me like if Ken Dorsey's going to be an offensive coordinator at either of three places, Buffalo, New York Giants, or Miami Dolphins, the best gig right now to be an OC, if all the jobs are the same and assuming the money is close to the same, Buffalo seems to be the better spot to be because you've got the best team and the best quarterback.
Correct. And that would be really interesting to see if Daboll is hired by the Dolphins, if he brings Don Wink Martindale, who has really done a phenomenal job during his time with the Baltimore Ravens. And I'm not discrediting Josh Boyer. I think he's done a wonderful job as well. But depending on the upcoming contract numbers, we'll see if that's a legitimate source that we can trust. That if Daboll is awarded the Miami Dolphins head coaching job, he's likely to bring quarterbacks coach from Buffalo Ken Dorsey and former Ravens defensive coordinator, Don Wink Martindale. Who would have thought that opening the 2022 season, we'd have Don Wink Martindale serving as the possible defensive coordinator for the Miami Dolphins. And again, I'm not discrediting the work that Josh Boyer has done. I think he's done a phenomenal job.
Yeah, yes.
We see the growth and maturity of cornerback Xavier Howard. You looked at the three rookies that the Dolphins were able to do this year, really two on the defensive side, one being on the offensive side in Jalen Waddle. We're not downplaying Josh Boyer's name, but Don Wink Martindale, with the experience that he has serving as the Ravens' defensive coordinator, that would be a sexy name to, maybe, give a shot and bring him to the Dolphins.
We also think about where Brian Flores might end up. And if Daboll does indeed choose Miami, Flo may become the favorite with the New York Giants because Dan Quinn is off the table. He was reported to be one of their favorites. He says he's staying in Dallas. And if Daboll takes the Miami job, then Flo might be the favorite in New York. I was reading a piece in one of the papers this morning, and this makes sense logically that, when Flo is interviewing or following up interviews with the Giants, like they want to ask him, what happened with the power struggle down here? Because obviously his next employer is going to be concerned about what happened. How do you think he would answer that question? Like how do you think Brian Flores should handle that? Because to me, everyone seems to want to make it about Tua, and maybe he should just be honest and say, you know what? I didn't believe that particular quarterback was going to take us anywhere. The general manager who drafted him really wanted to force him on us. So we had a fundamental disagreement about it, and it is what it is. I wonder if an answer like that would be satisfactory.
I think so much went on behind closed doors, Alex, between Flores, Chris Greer, and even owner Stephen Ross, that if he is presented a question like that, I don't think Flores is going to, come off the table and automatically say, hey, this is what happened during my time here. Flores was a coach. He always wanted to keep things in-house. And, a lot of people said in-house. He never wanted to, exploit anything really off the table, which me personally, I don't really blame him. I mean, a lot of things that really happen behind closed doors, NFL head coaches are really not going to tell, as much as the media people want to hear it, the NFL head coaches and GMs and, the big executive people, they're not going to, splatter everything out on the table surface and say, hey, this is literally what happened. Me personally, I just think it was just all relationship between Flores and Greer. They probably didn't see eye to eye. Flores and Ross probably didn't see eye to eye on some certain things as well. And really, and I was speaking about it with my mom, really, I was telling her, an NFL head coach and a quarterback, their relationship is extremely crucial. I mean, look at what Aaron Rodgers and Matt, and I mean, even though they're surprisingly out of postseason play now, rumors are maybe Aaron Rodgers probably just played his last game as a member of the Green Bay Packers. Yeah. We can all agree that him and head coach Matt LaFleur, their relationship maybe wasn't strong at first, but it built up. But I didn't really see that, with the Dolphins, because if you were watching past media sessions between Tua and former head coach Brian Flores, they always would just, Tua would just say, Flo's done, Flo and I have had great conversations, and, Flo and I have done a great job of keeping things in-house. We don't really know what conversations those were. We don't know if maybe they were 5-minute conversations. We don't know maybe if they were arguing and somebody stepped out of the room to avoid any more drama. So, it is really interesting to see what that relationship was like between Flores and Tua behind closed doors. Maybe it's something that we'll never hear.
I hope one of them writes a tell-all book someday. I would love to read that. By the way, huge shout out Cap for Life. Thank you so much for the super chat donation. And he's a big fan of Brandon as well. He sent Brandon the shout out. And yes, since Andres put this in the chat, I want to read this. We did talk about this a little bit earlier, but he says, Ian Rappaport tweeted, hashtag Dolphins plan to have second interviews early next week, source said, as they continue their search for a head coach. So, yeah, there was a flurry of reports this morning calling Brian Daboll emerging as the favorite, which I believe he is. And I don't even think he's emerging as the favorite. I think he's probably been the favorite for quite some time. Then I think the discrepancies we've had this morning is to how close the Dolphins actually are to nabbing Daboll. Like, some reports basically said, they're reviewing a contract, but if what Ian Rappaport says is true, then maybe that wasn't true, because if you're in the process of signing a contract, you're not having a second round of interviews. So, okay, if the Dolphins are having a second round of interviews, Brandon, I would assume the list is going to get trimmed down a little bit. Like, Dan Quinn is obviously out. I don't know if Kellen Moore is making the second round, because
I heard it. Well, I don't mean to interrupt you for a moment, but I did hear a tweet from an NFL certified writer. He is verified, thousands of followers. Did say that there's a possibility that both Kellen Moore, the offensive coordinator, and Dan Quinn, the defensive coordinator, are both staying in Dallas.
Yeah, and that would make sense. Like, I'm more surprised about Quinn, because Quinn, he's a veteran. He's been a head coach before. Sure. I thought he would want to jump right back into it. Like, Kellen Moore, to me,
he's still a young guy.
He's so young, yeah, that he's done some interviews, I know, including down here, but I kind of feel like it's Thomas Brown, same thing, very, very young and inexperienced, where it's like, they start doing interviews because teams kind of want to know, hey, maybe a few years down the road, maybe our job is open again. And then let's see what this person has to say. Because that's kind of how the process goes, Brandon. A lot of times when you see like a young coach, like in their early 30s, and there are exceptions, like Sean McVay was like 19 when he got a head coaching gig. But, for the most part, when you see like head coaches, candidates like in their early 30s taking interviews, it's like, we're probably not going to hire you this cycle, but maybe next cycle you get a job. So, okay, so if Dan Quinn, and I think Kellen Moore and Quinn are both out of it, like you said, who do you think they should bring in for a second round of interviews? Like, if you're going to give me like a short list of a couple, 2 or 3 names, who do you think they should be chatting with in a second round of interviews?
Well, definitely Brian Daboll. Now that Buffalo season has come to a heartbreaking close, I think that's probably, you can put Daboll's name at the very top. And honestly, offensive coordinator, like me and you had spoken a little while ago from the San Francisco 49ers, Mike McDaniel. I mean, hey, give him a shot. I watched some of his, his interviews with the selected media and his enthusiasm. And, it's like he wants to be there. He wants to answer every question as possible. What I've noticed, being with my time at the press box this past season, it's like some head coaches want to be there and some head coaches want to talk to, every selected media member. And some head coaches just want to give a statement as to how the overall football game went. And they don't really want to answer much questions. They kind of want to just, kind of get in and just, leave as soon as possible. But, definitely Brian Daboll, definitely Mike McDaniel. I mean, those are probably the two names that, I personally would. Vance Joseph, he was a former defensive coordinator here with the Dolphins, but the name doesn't really seem that attractive to me the most. Yeah. Thomas Brown, again, Alex, just like, you previously mentioned, just, with no head coaching experience. I mean, Stephen Ross is obviously taking his time on this because he really doesn't want to mess this up. I mean, we've had 3 head coaches. You date all the way back to even really, the late, great Tony Sperano, going all the way back to him, then Joe Philbin, then Adam Gase, then Brian Flores. I mean, they're trying to find the next Don Shula here, and it seems like they still haven't been able to, they still haven't – they're still trying to figure it out. I mean, I would like a guy, honestly, like Sean McDermott. I'm not saying he's
Sean McDermott. Yeah.
Sean – I mean – You look at both Seans, really, Sean McVay and Sean McDermott, 2 absolute wizards, even though they're obviously not coming here. I just want someone like him. So Brian Daboll being in Buffalo with that Buffalo knowledge and being around Sean McDermott and Ken Dorsey, just like Manny had said, another week of a drama, and that's really all I can really say. Or maybe Sean Payton.
I think he's going to take some time off, though, don't you?
Correct.
Yeah,
he's going to take some time off because I was shocked to hear that. It's funny. Every time when he made that surprise decision to retire, I was thinking, hey, maybe Sean Payton's gonna come here and they're going to take Drew Brees off the NBC 6 studio and have him suit up.
That would be something. And I would probably take Drew Brees out of football for 13 months. I would take him over Tua, but I'm people call me a hater. I'm and like we say, I founded the Church of Tua Science. I like to try and break Tua down without agendas because there are a lot of agendas on both sides of it. But I want to say a couple things in Mike McDaniel's defense because I see a lot of narratives come up with him, and again, I prefer him over Daboll, just for the record. I wanted somebody with head coaching experience. It doesn't look to me like they're going in that direction, which may be a mistake. But I do slightly prefer McDaniel over Brian Daboll. And a couple things I think are unfair that people used to criticize this guy. One of those things, Brandon, is, and I respect it, Dolphin fans, long-suffering Dolphin fans, have a little bit of PTSD because the last time the Dolphins hired as their head coach an offensive coordinator who didn't call plays, that man was Joe Philbin, and he was a dud. So now you see Mike McDaniel, he's an offensive coordinator who doesn't call plays, and people compare him to Philbin. I don't think it's fair, okay, because a big difference between Mike McDaniel and Joe Philbin, Mike McDaniel is so well-renowned for his play design, especially in the running game. Like, this guy, he is literally changing the game of football. Right? Like, he is literally making his mark on the history of the NFL by designing running plays that are becoming trends that will be copied around the league. That's a legacy. Whether this guy ever becomes a successful head coach or not, he is leaving a legacy on the National Football League. Joe Philbin didn't do that. Joe Philbin was, he was basically a coattail rider, right? I mean, he got to babysit Aaron Rodgers for a couple of years and became a head coaching candidate. So yeah, they're both offensive coordinators who don't call plays, but Mike McDaniel is actually impacting the game and innovating the game in a way that Joe Philbin never did and never will. And then another thing is, and we'll stick with the whole thing about calling the plays. Give me your thought on this, because people will look at Mike McDaniel and say, oh, wait, hold on. Is he qualified? Because he doesn't even call the plays in San Francisco. This guy wants to be a head coach. But let me remind people, most NFL fans don't want their head coach calling plays anyway, right? You'd prefer that to be delegated to someone else. So if you don't want your head coach to be calling plays, why are you using it against this guy that he doesn't call plays? Do you want him calling plays here or not? Because if you don't, you shouldn't be using that against him.
Correct. And, Alex, I don't mean to interrupt you again, but Ian
Rappaport, no, I was done. I'm out of breath anyway. It's all you now.
No, but Ian Rappaport put out a tweet saying that there's 3 names expected to receive second interviews from the Dolphins: Cowboys OC Kellen Moore, 49ers OC Mike McDaniel, and Bills OC Brian Daboll.
So did that just break?
Yeah, it literally just 2 minutes ago. So
I love it.
So 3 names, 3 offensive-minded guys. It seems like, you opened up the show saying stabilize and have a consistent defense, but the Dolphins, what they need to do entering the 2022 season, they need to fix this offense, an offense that seemed like they had a lot of playmakers this past season, but we didn't really see that, especially with the dismal signing of wide receiver Will Fuller.
Wow. And bro, I appreciate you for seeing that tweet, because it would have taken me probably another 20 minutes before I saw that tweet. So I'm looking at it. Thanks to Brandon Liguori for cutting that in. Ian Rappaport, he literally tweeted this out 2 minutes ago, and my guy Brandon was on it like a freaking hawk. He says, among names expected to receive second interviews from the Dolphins, Cowboys OC Kellen Moore. I don't think he's getting the job. 49ers OC Mike McDaniel, he might get the job. Or Bills OC Brian Daboll is probably getting the job. So I don't really consider Kellen Moore to be a serious candidate. So I think it's coming down to Daboll or McDaniel, with Daboll probably being the favorite. Let's close that topic on that note. Before we let you run, I've got to get your take on the AFC and NFC Championship games, right? We're a few days away from knowing which 2 teams are going to be playing in the Super Bowl. We had a couple surprises last week. It's not surprising that Kansas City is there. It was one of the best games I've ever seen. But Kansas City got through Buffalo at home. They're going to go up against the Cincinnati Bengals. What a Cinderella story. Prior to a couple weeks ago, they hadn't won a playoff game in 30 years. And now they're 1 win away from the Super Bowl. So let's start with the AFC Championship game. It's going to be tough for Cincinnati going into Kansas City. I don't diminish their accomplishments whatsoever, but Ryan Tannehill gift wrapped that win for them last week in Tennessee. So Cincinnati might just happy to be there. Am I missing something here? Do you think Cincinnati can pull off the upset, or is it KC's game to lose?
I think Cincinnati legitimately could pull off this upset. Now, keep in mind, these 2 teams, the Chiefs and the Cincinnati Bengals, they played in Cincinnati a couple weeks ago with Joe Burrow edging out Patrick Mahomes 34-31. Well, let me tell you something. It's crazy to even think about this. 2 years ago, Alex, the Cincinnati Bengals were 2-14. Remember, it was a neck-and-neck battle between who was going to have the number 1 pick entering the 2020 NFL Draft. And the Cincinnati Bengals ended up winning the first overall pick, taking LSU quarterback Joe Burrow. And keep in mind as well that Joe Burrow, with a season-ending knee injury suffering in his rookie season, I mean, what in the world? Who would have thought that the Cincinnati Bengals would be? I mean, this is an ultimate win for them even being here, for them even being in this AFC title game, for them being a win away from going to Los Angeles to represent the AFC in this year's Super Bowl, and being 2 wins away from lifting NFL's most prized possession, and that's the Vince Lombardi trophy. But I'm starting to think that this is probably going to be the same old Kansas City Chiefs with head coach Andy Reid, offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy, and don't forget defensive coordinator Spagnuolo. Steve Spagnuolo. The name froze on me for a minute. But what Patrick Mahomes did this past Sunday night, 13 seconds left, trailing 39-36 or 36-33. My apologies there. 13 seconds left, and the way they were able to find Tyreek Hill, find Travis Kelce, get Harrison Butker in field goal range, kick a game-tying field goal, send the game into overtime. Pretty much the game was decided on the coin flip. You could say that it was because, with the NFL rules, if a touchdown or a safety is scored on the first possession in overtime, the game is officially over. So I get why Buffalo Bills fans are frustrated about that. But at the end of the day, with this game being at home, I think the spread is honestly really fat. I know the latest spread was Chiefs, but -7.
Mm-hmm.
I think if that number increases to 7.5, even 8, I think maybe you got to play with the Bengals with the spread, just because these teams last saw each other just 2 weeks ago, even though it was in Cincinnati. But hey, don't count out Joe Burrow. Don't count out wide receiver. Remember, Jamar Chase, a sensational rookie wideout. Remember all the analytics were saying he doesn't know how to properly catch. Remember all these preseason drops. Everybody was like, wait, was Jamar Chase not the right pick here? Was he not? And I'm sitting here. I'm like, man, are they really judging somebody based off of preseason?
Yeah, I knew that was BS. I knew it was BS, but yeah, I remember that because he had a bad run in preseason. Preseason, he was dropping everything. And I'm like, come on, guys, let's not. It sounds like you were in the same boat with me. Like, let's not get crazy. This guy's you see how open he's getting, right? I mean, that was one thing people were forgetting about.
Jamar Chase's separation off the line of scrimmage and just his clean routes that he runs. I mean, they won that game this past Sunday. Not only because Ryan Tannehill threw a terrible interception late in the fourth quarter to give Cincinnati the ball pretty much at midfield, but Jamar Chase running a clean route to get open, having range for Evan McPherson to kick a game-winning field goal, who, again, give credit to him, a former Florida Gators kicker. I watched a lot of his film when I was able to make some trips up to the University of Florida. What a remarkable job he's done. I mean, he even said post-game after that 19-16 win over the Titans that it was just another game for him. I mean, imagine a rookie kicker kicking a game-winning field goal in the AFC divisional round and saying that it's just another game for you. And really, Alex, over on the NFC side, we got Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, two really great head coaches. The line right now is Rams -3.5. The Niners won the first two meetings, including the Week 18 meeting, coming back from down 17 points. I won't be surprised if this is a Chiefs-49ers rematch like it was at beautiful Hard Rock Stadium in February of 2020. But, hey, imagine if Joe Burrow's Cincinnati Bengals punched their ticket in this upcoming February Super Bowl. Man, would that be remarkable.
And one of the main reasons why I want that, and because some of you guys know this about me, I just like to watch the world burn. Like, I enjoy chaos. And if Joe Burrow in his second year gets to a Super Bowl, I want to see Dolphin fans complain about it, like Joe Burrow getting there. And then I also want to see Tuanon coming up with all the excuses like, well, if Tua would get to a Super Bowl with that team, how crappy would Burrow be with the Dolphins? The same Tuanon there. So I think that would be hilarious. And then on the other side of it, I am slightly favoring the Rams, and that might be a little bit of bias because I don't want San Francisco to win the Super Bowl and then we get the 32nd overall pick because we have the 49ers first round picks. And it's like, enough is enough. Just lose. Like, I'd rather have, like, what would it be, like the 28th or 29th pick is better than the 32nd pick.
Well, and another interesting point, Alex, is what is really going on through Mike McDaniel's head right now, knowing that his team is not only 2 wins away from winning the Vince Lombardi Trophy, 1 win away from securing a spot and representing the NFC in the Super Bowl, but a possible head coaching candidate for the Miami Dolphins. I mean, his mind has to be running with different thoughts going on inside his head, and now game planning for the LA Rams, whom they've already beat this year twice, against a very dangerous squad led by cornerback Matt Stafford, weapons all around, including wide receiver Cooper Kupp, wide receiver Odell Beckham. And damn it, if you're a Cleveland Browns fan and you gave up on OBJ, shame on you for that, because I don't know why in the world you would ever go on Odell Beckham. But 2 very exciting football games that I'm looking forward to this upcoming Sunday. And I'm going to actually put out a tweet. I'm going to spoil it now. I'm going to put out a tweet Sunday morning saying that I will be excited as ever, and probably I will be biting my nails on every offensive and defensive snap, but I will be excited as ever when the Dolphins, one day, hopefully soon, are in the AFC Championship game and playing on Championship Sunday. So we're hoping for that soon, right?
You might be young enough that you can actually experience that because you're early 20s, right? Like you might be young enough. I'm in my late 30s now. There's no chance. No chance.
Hey, but how about the Miami Heat, though, right? I mean, they rarely have had Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, and Kyle Lowry playing on the same court. And here they are, led by head coach Eric Spoelstra. They're in first place atop the Eastern Conference.
It's tremendous, man. Spo should be coach of the year every year. Let me let you run, my friend. Let people know where they can find your work. They see right there where to find you on Twitter at Brandon R.
That's my official Twitter handle. Please, please, please get me to 2,000 followers. I believe I'm currently at 1,905. So
we'll get you there. Let's do it, people.
Spread the word. You can also find my work at Phinmaniacs.com. And if you do give me a follow on my personalized Twitter account, right there you see below, there's a link that takes you to this site called Muckrack, where it gives you every article that I've ever written, dating all the way back to when I was at college at Florida Gulf Coast University. Alex, as always, thank you. Looking forward, as always, to talking football with you.
Real quick, let's tackle this as well before you run, because our guy Cap for Life gave us a super chat. He says, guys, you think John Elway is going to make a move for Aaron Rodgers like he did with Peyton Manning now that they have Aaron's coach? Yeah, they hired Nathaniel Hackett and a Javante running game. I absolutely to me. I think Denver is
it's a legitimate possibility.
Yeah,
It is really. I mean, we don't really know what the story is going to be between Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater, and that seems like a little quarterback merry-go-round. It's always like, well, if Teddy gets hurt, we still have Drew Lock, but are these two quarterbacks who have really proven themselves yet? Don't be surprised if something big before the NFL free agency period begins. We'll see. I mean, obviously, all eyes are going to be on quarterback Aaron Rodgers, and what is he? Is he staying in Green Bay? Is he going to follow his former offensive coordinator and go, play football for the AFC West, the Denver Broncos? So we shall see. It's going to be a very exciting, NFL free agency, but I'm definitely looking forward to these two football games this upcoming Sunday.
Good stuff, man. Enjoy your weekend coming up. Thank you for making time for us.
Thank you, man. As always, appreciate it.
Good stuff there. Brandon Liguori, Phinmaniacs.com. Let's bring on the anti-mush. This guy, we got a yin and a yang thing going here. The people who listen to my picks, they lose money, and then they listen to Barry's picks and they win it back. So we're even Steven. We're even Steven because of that factor. Barry Barger, BetUS.com. Barry, good afternoon. How you doing, sir?
Good afternoon. Doing great, man. They should just bet my picks then instead of being even Steven. Just
people never change.
How you doing, man? Yeah, I heard you talking about the Rodgers thing. That's and I wonder. I mean, did he make a deal with his OC? He loves his he's praised at OC so much. Did he say, "Hey, man, you get that coaching job, throw me in the mix, man"?
He might have helped him get that job, Barry. He might have said, "You know what? When you're in that interview, feel free to drop my name. It's like, hey guys, by the way, if you hire me, look who I can bring over here." I'm sure that helped.
Believe me, Denver knows the praises that Rodgers has put towards that, and that gives them a better chance of landing him.
Yeah.
So all that was in the equation as they made that decision, and I always wonder, and maybe it'll come out, is that part of what Rodgers and he worked out? Like, listen, you get that job, throw it in. I'm coming to Denver. We won't announce it for after the Super Bowl, but I'm coming to Denver, boys.
That's too good. So real quick before we get into the championship games, there's a lot being written and reported about the Dolphins head coaching search, and a couple things are now off the table now. The Bears have a coach, the Broncos we talked about have a coach. The Dolphins still looking for a head coach. It seems like Brian Daboll is now the favorite, and I'm sure he's the betting favorite as well. There were some reports this morning that made it sound like it was almost a done deal. Maybe we take a step back from that now. Ian Rappaport said that the Dolphins will be doing a second round of interviews, and that's going to include Brian Daboll, the OC at Buffalo, Kellen Moore, the OC at Dallas. So I just don't think he's ready for a head coaching job yet, or OC Mike McDaniel from San Francisco, who's been a hot name linked to this job. Who do you personally think, Barry, would be the best fit if it came down to McDaniel, Daboll, or Kellen Moore? And these are all offensive guys, which I think is the right move because the Dolphins need to fix the offense, maintain the defense. Which one of those do you think would be the best fit here?
Yeah. Now I think Kellen Moore is overrated. I wouldn't go that route.
Too young.
No, and boy, if you get McDaniels, oh man, I think that's the guy you want.
That's my personal. That's the guy that I like most out of the three.
Oh man, his offensive and quarterback mind. I mean, look what he's done. And he's had opportunities to go places and hasn't. If you can land that, that's a big fish. That's the fish. That's the fish. If you can get that and pry him away from New England, that's Josh, right? That's what you're talking about.
No, Mike McDaniel.
Is he in the running?
He is in the running. Yeah, he's the OC at San Francisco. He's been a Shanahan guy. He's worked with Kyle and even going back to Mike Shanahan.
I'm familiar with him. I was thinking of the other the New England OC.
Yeah, you're thinking of Josh McDaniels.
Josh McDaniels is is he on the table at all? I'm wondering, is he in?
Doesn't seem like it. Certainly not for this gig, and I don't see him. I don't see him getting thrown around for interviews.
One of the McDaniels, So Kellen Moore, come on, not for a head coach, man.
No. Not yet. Anyway,
not yet. He needs a little more under his belt before you can do that. And I think Miami would be good to go with if they could get either one of the McDaniel boys, And I see that right now they have the New Orleans Saints head coach lines up, and I'll get the Miami ones back up because the Miami ones were up before, and I just need to tell them to put them back up because, listen, I don't know, needs it. I don't know.
I need it.
I don't know. I'll make sure those get back up this afternoon for sure, so that you guys can play on that. That's a really good deal.
I love it. We had some incredible games last week.
Dude, best.
Oh my God, that Buffalo Kansas City game was. I could watch that on loop.
Oh my gosh, that needed to be the conference championship. I know everybody's like saying that's what it was and everything, but listen, man, Cincinnati's no joke. Obviously, Burrow's real deal, and him with Jamar Chase, like the connection they have going back to LSU.
Yeah,
that's just incredible, man. It's amazing what we're seeing right now in the NFL, and every year, and people say this, and it's true. It's that divisional round of playoffs is the best weekend of football every freaking year, and I think all four matchups, and I'm just going by maybe 15 points total in the four games.
Yeah. In fact, they were all the first three games were all decided by 3 points.
Yep.
The game with the largest margin of victory was the one that went to overtime. That one was decided by 6 points. How crazy is that?
Scored a touchdown.
Yeah, that was a blowout compared to the other three games.
Oh my gosh, dude! And what did they score? Like 24 points in the last 202.
25, I think it was. 25.
That's insane, man.
Unbelievable.
And I was watching this, and one of my buddies, Dougal, he was staying with me, and he's he's from England, and he didn't. It was great because I was like, hey, if I'm talking to him, and she's like, no, this is why I like watching the games with you because it's so good to know. Because I'm like, here's what's going to happen now. This is what they want to do now, and it would happen. He's like, how do you know? Like, I've been living football and
now if you watch soccer with him, is he like you? Like,
right.
Yeah, mate, Liverpool. It's going to be a dominant performance today at Anfield.
Yeah, that's exactly right. He's a good teammate. He's my boss, and he's a great guy to work with, and
awesome.
Even better to watch games with and hang with. Matter of fact, I'm at his place right now. We're working on some March Madness stuff, and all the I still want to do this song thing for the Super Bowl after this weekend because I want to do, and I'll let you guys. Nobody knows this, but what I'm pushing for is people to do their own version. I rewrote like I love LA, and also from the La La Land, the
City of Lights.
City.
I've never seen it because I don't like musicals. I think it's ridiculous. Like, and it's funny because I love science fiction movies and like somehow people like traveling through time and like intergalactic space. To me, that's more realistic than people on the street.
Somebody breaking into song. So,
it's crazy. I can't watch musicals.
I'm the same with you because I've been acting for years, and so I actually did a couple musicals, and I can't really sing, but I did it for a director that I did.
Wow.
And in one theater in the round at Arizona State, I actually had to ride on a bike, and while I was singing, and I was like, if I'm scared of something because I'm fear of failure or whatever, I have to do it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, Myrna, I'm gonna do it for you, but I'm like, I like to ride my bicycle. I like to ride. I played a coach, and it was but I mean, like, musicals kind of take you out of the movie a little bit because it's like you break into songs like, but La La Land was really pretty damn cool. I mean, there's a few. And what was the other one I loved? Whatever. It was with Nicole Kidman and Ewan McGregor.
Was that Moulin Rouge?
Moulin Rouge. That one, I love that one too. Those are the two that I'm telling you. What you watch those, and those two come through. Those two come through for the most part. I mean, unless you're seeing something live, just like anything. I can see any band, anybody that I'm just okay with, and anything live amps it like 300%, 400%, 500%. It's incredible. So, but I'll let you know on those contests because I want to it'll be out Monday morning. I already have all the lyrics written, especially if LA gets in it, which they should. Mm-hmm. Rams, but you're still gonna have a California team. You have to.
It's true. It's a good
Niners
point.
And LA. so anyway, can't wait for this weekend.
And let's look at let's go in chronological order. The afternoon game Sunday, we got an afternoon game and an evening game. It's the AFC first.
Yeah,
Cincinnati. It would be a tremendous story if they can get in. It's going to be tough, of course. They're 7-point dogs, and they got to play in Kansas City. So it's Kansas City -7. The over/under is 54.5. How do you think that one plays out?
Well, here's the thing. Cincinnati's offensive line, they're not doing the job. And Kansas City,
9 sacks last week. Woof.
Dude, I mean, come on. And Kansas City's going to press. And with Jamar Chase is going to get him. And what Cincinnati's going to try to do is they'll try to run with Mixon. They'll try to establish that run. But Kansas City knows that. I know it. If I know it, everybody knows it. I mean, it's obvious. But it's going to be tough. And with Kansas City's offense, okay, so they played in week 16 or 17? Week 17, I think. And Cincinnati beat them. Kansas City went up 14-0 right away. If they do that, Cincinnati doesn't have a chance. Not in Kansas City. That last one was in Cincinnati. Yeah. And I believe Kansas City just has too much firepower. And I believe that Kansas City's defense can actually hold them. So what I've done already is, and I've said this on the show before, is when I buy off of those big numbers, I'll play them in parlays so I don't get nailed with the juice. So, it's you're already against the 8 ball, or tees. But it's like it's like Kansas City. I just don't see how they don't come out of this, and I don't see how they don't cover, man. I mean, I understand Joe Burrow, and don't give Kansas City something to play off of. It was louder in the SEC than Arrowhead Stadium. It's like, you are definitely only in your second year.
Yep.
But it's
you never hear Tom Brady say something like that.
Well, okay. So what that's going to do is that those fans, they read all that stuff. Yeah, they are going to be even louder than they usually are. They are going to mess with Burrow so much. And so if you're audibling, if you're trying, it really does make a difference. And in Arrowhead, the Chiefs are awesome. Mm-hmm. And I really like, so what we'll have up if we don't yet is the alternative lines. We do have some, is playing some of the bigger lines so you get plus money. And so, if you play Kansas City, okay, if you play them -14.5 plus 200, I know that's hard to fathom, but I think they beat them by 2 scores. I don't know if it's 10, 14, 17, but I could see this being 35-10, 35-17 game. I could see that. What I think is the problem is it's gone up to 54.5, is it now?
54.5. Yeah, I'm looking at it at BetUS right now.
I think it opened at 50.5 and shot up right away, which makes sense. And I can't bet the under here. There's no way, because Cincinnati's going to have to pass it no matter what they try to do with the run. And Bengals have great run spread under 6-0 last 6 games, 5-1 is road. Okay, that's good. That's a great point. You're playing Patrick Mahomes here, who in his last 7 games has averaged like 310 yards a game passing. He's thrown over 70%. After that beginning half of the season, the dude has been a baller, man. And he so this is what happens in the playoffs. And you can look these stats up. So in the regular season, I think he averages like 18 yards rushing a game. In the playoffs, he averages like 30, 31, something like that. So when it matters, he's going to take the risk no matter what to win that game. You know, obviously he could end up being one of the best quarterbacks of all time, maybe the best. He has the ability to go there because of everything he can do with his legs, with his arms, with his never give up attitude. So with that said, Mahomes, I mean, you saw him in that 13 seconds, and
crazy.
Everybody's already gone over this. Why didn't you squib it? And when I was watching the game, I'm like, I would squib it because you're going to burn off 4 or 5 seconds, or, at least a few, even if they just down it when they get it. But to kick an end zone and I'm not giving Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, and Travis Kelce 13 seconds.
No, sir.
Dude, it was insane. That was one of the most incredible games ever, and that's and Josh Allen was incredible. It's too bad that he had to run up against Patrick Mahomes and his homies.
Well, and essentially, listen, all credit to Kansas City, but then when you get to overtime, you knew whoever was winning that coin toss was going to win the game, right? I mean,
that's exactly what I was saying when they were. I'm like, this is talk about a coin toss deciding the game, because whoever they're going to score a touchdown because they aren't going to stop, and that's insane, and it's a tough way for Buffalo to go out because what an incredible team, and like they both said, both quarterback, they'll be meeting plenty of times in the future, and many of them be in the AFC Championship game, instead of the divisional playoff game. It's just it's a matter of the brackets. It's luck of the draw kind of in there, and luck of the flip, as case may be. But if I were to bet the right now the total, as far as the total goes, I got to go. I can't go under on a game like this because
neither can I.
Even Kansas City gets the lead like they did before. And all these teams do it. They soften up a little bit, and then you've got a guy like Burrow and a guy with the communication with Chase. They're double tripping him. You got T. Higgins. You got Tyler Boyd. You got Joe Mixon out of the backfield. So it's not. And C.J. Usman's has had really good games. So it's going to be awesome. But I wish that was the later game just because I love KC.
Too. Yeah.
And but either way, what are you thinking on this? Because
I'm thinking I'm gonna take Kansas City -7. I hadn't given a whole lot of thought yet on the total, but I think you made a good point. I'm not gonna bet under on this game, so I'm probably gonna lean to over. I think KC is gonna win this game by about 10 points, and it's probably gonna end up being around, I don't know, maybe 60 combined points in this one.
Well, the problem with the over, I mean, and you know what, I know I'm going to bet the over, and the problem with that is I think Kansas City has the ability, and this is what to watch. If Matthew, if Tyrann Mathieu, if he's cleared from his concussion, which he probably will be,
right, he's
an important piece of the puzzle. If he doesn't play, then I'm all over the over.
Yeah.
If he plays, then it's possible they can limit Cincinnati enough for that to be an under, because if they get up if they get up 28-10 and it's, beginning of the fourth quarter, they start calling off the dogs and just burning that clock off. But yeah, I really like Kansas City. And if you can get, 6.5, it's great. But I really have no problem laying the 7 here. And like I said, you've got the alternate lines at BetUS. BetUS has all the alternate lines, the props, everything like that. I haven't looked at Mahomes' passing yards, but that's all stuff. When it gets closer to game time, I bet a lot of that stuff.
Same here. So let's look at the other game, and I think you already mentioned obviously it's going to be a California team, but I think you mentioned you're expecting LA to get the home game in the Super Bowl. So the Rams are 3.5-point favorites at home against the San Francisco 49ers. The total for this one over under 45.5. I don't know if I'm overthinking it or underthinking it, but I think this is going to be a relatively straightforward Rams victory. I think they're going to cover the 3.5. Obviously, anytime you're at 3.5, it's a nasty number because most games are decided by 3 or by numbers that are divided by 3. So it can be a nasty number, but I'm thinking the Rams cover here.
The cover part is tough for me because San Fran's beaten them 6 times in a row, and you can take all that, and people, I think that's why the number's a little bit lower,
because of the recent history.
But this is the playoffs. Sean McVay's he's a brilliant play caller. San Fran's defense is awesome. That's why they're there. Jimmy G has been less than stellar, man. They're winning games, so he's doing enough. But it's, say like Trent Dilfer with the Ravens, they won a Super Bowl way back when. And
Brad Johnson with the Buccaneers.
So that's not necessarily and beating them that many times in a row, that's kind of in your head, that has some bearing. Now the Rams, super motivated. I would love to get -2.5 or at +4.5. I think I would go Niners just because of their defense. And I think that this is one of those games that I think the Rams prove they're the better team. And it's because of Jimmy G. I think the Rams are going to just try to hammer it down because if they get up 14 points, how is San Fran going to come back from that? Now, Stafford, last 2 times they played, he's had 2 interceptions in each game, I'm pretty sure. And so turnovers is going to be probably the key to who wins this game, truthfully. But I think that San Fran, nobody has an answer for Cooper Kupp.
No.
Good luck. And when he's that good, they're double teaming him. They're focusing on him. You can't stop this guy. He can line up in the slot. He can line up out wide. He's always available. And the thing with them double teaming or focusing on him is, man, I'm telling you what, Odell Beckham Jr., he's looked really good. I'm not a huge OBJ fan just because of his attitude. I'm more about team guys,
He's a diva. He's all about him.
And a lot of receivers are, if we go over the history, in the NFL, right?
With the most extreme one being our guy Antonio Brown. He's completely off the defense. That guy is out to lunch. Come
on.
An
idiot.
He had one true friend, Tom Brady, and he turns his back on Tom Brady as well.
And he dogs on him.
He dogs on him multiple times.
It's like, oh man. It's like mental health issues or not. It's like, I think it was Kyle Brandt on Good Morning Football.
Good Morning Football, yeah.
Yeah, and one day it was right after the outburst, and everybody's like, mental health issues, he needs to get help and everything. And he's like, listen, maybe, but you know what you're doing. I would say, and I think I put a few things. I'm like, hashtag narcissist.
Yes.
It's all about me. And so, he's going to be a Hall of Famer, and unless he does something even stupider than what he's done before, which is a big possibility.
Yeah.
So, but OBJ looked great, and seriously, like, you can't leave him. He's still got his skills, man. He looked awesome last weekend. And he was he's looked awesome for the last few games. So, and you still got Van Jefferson. You've got, and Cam Akers coming back is great, but I think they'd be smarter to lean on Sony Michel. Akers tried to fumble that game away, fumbled twice in the last game. So I think smart thing is lean on Sony Michel a little bit. And I hate to be such a square and bet 2 favorites and 2 overs.
It happens.
But,
I mean,
but I think that's, you know what? Here's another thing at BetUS is you can bet the team over. So like with Kansas City, I'm going to definitely bet their over as far as their team total, which is 31.5.
Yeah.
Cincinnati's 23.5. I might bet both overs, because what was the last game? They had like 900 yards of offense when they played in week 7, and I don't think it'll be like that because Cincinnati's going to come out and try to control the game, keep it out of Mahomes' hand and stuff, and good luck with that because we saw what can happen with 13 seconds. What can he do with a whole game?
Oh my God!
What the heck? But but my favorite plays in the slate are definitely Kansas City is my top play, and then the over in the San Fran Rams game. Truthfully, it's just too low. It's 45.5, and these guys, they're going to score some points, and whether it be by Jimmy G serving up for a pick 6, or I expect the Rams to get up and San Fran being forced to throw the ball, and they've got some skill players. Look at Debo, but you can't run him out of the backfield forever and expect to be fine. But Eli Mitchell's awesome. Shanahan always dials up a great rushing game, so he can have anybody back there. I swear. Same with his dad, Mike Shanahan, when he used to coach. Whatever running back stepped in there, their schemes are so good to run the ball. So it's a crapshoot. Well, like I said, I'd like to, like I do in parlays. I bought the Rams down to 2.5, even though I'm paying all the juice.
Yeah.
I'll bet Kansas City. I'll take them down to 6, and then so that's what I do. I do a 4-teamer or something like that. And so I'm not feeling the juice so much, instead of paying 150 to win 100 -6 or minus, so that's what are you thinking on the Rams San Fran? I mean, you have a strong take on that side?
I'm gonna go. I may do your move, buy it down, parlay it, but I was thinking of going Rams -3.5. So
you know what?
I'm as much of a square. I'm as much of a square as you are.
I don't mind. I don't mind that at all. And during the, I'm looking at myself going, really? Are you going to go with 2? Yeah. So it's just the 2 better teams.
Yeah.
And I don't see Cincinnati being able to hang. And I really believe Kansas City's going to get up. They're going to pressure Burrow. And I expect Burrow to throw at least 1 pick. That's one prop at BetUS. That's probably.
And I love those props. I've been all over the interception props, the over/under INT prop.
Burrow to throw a pick, and Jimmy G to throw a pick.
Yeah,
those are 2 great props. I mean, even Stafford probably. I wouldn't bet on Mahomes to throw a pick because it's playoff time, buddy. Yeah, it's man, I can tell you that. But BetUS has all these, like they got early Super Bowl lines up, NFC early, there's everything out there. So check it out. Like, really it's great. And on our Twitters, we're always putting out the contests and stuff on BetUS at BetUS_official on Twitter. And we've got at BetUS Pro FB, and we've got all the particulars too. So, and going into NBA and March Madness, like we're about to meet for our March Madness, programs and what we're doing.
Awesome.
So, after this, March is the best freaking month. March Madness is really that great. It's awesome, man. I can't wait for that. But right now, it's all NFL for me, man. This is so great, right?
Well, I love
and these coaches too, especially Miami. You guys got to be excited.
Oh yeah.
I mean, like getting rid of Flores, I thought, was a mistake.
It was odd. Yeah, it may end up being a mistake.
That surprised me, but we'll see who they get and what
exactly.
Maybe they just needed something fresh to come in with what they got. It's like do you move off Tua or not? What are your options? Yeah, I mean that's another thing.
Yeah, and I don't think they do move off Tua, and I think that's one.
So.
And I think that's one of the reasons why they got rid of Flo, because Flo wasn't buying into Tua.
Flo wasn't flowing with Tua. Right?
Flo wasn't flowing with Tua, so now they're going to find someone who is. And those of us who are skeptical about Tua, we'll see how this works out. But we got to run, my friend. I appreciate your time as always. Make sure you check out Barry's work. BetUS.com in the locker room and on the Twitter handles. Everybody who watches this show should be following BetUS _official.
And you
on
still
Twitter.
Get your bonuses too for putting up your codes. And all that.
We were about to talk about that. Barry, thank you so much, my friend. Have a great weekend.
Woo! Yeah. Thanks, Alex. Good to see you.
Talk to you later, bro.
I don't know.
And that reminds me, guys, make sure you are using the official sportsbook of Donno Daily, and that is BetUS.com. BetUS is the 3-decade leader, my friends. They've been at this. They're in their 27th NFL postseason right now. It is a full-service sportsbook, and yes, it is available in Florida. You can use BetUS.com, the full site in Florida. Live betting on everything. They've got lines for any sporting event you can imagine. NFL playoffs, NBA, NHL, international soccer, UFC fights. I bet on every time there's a UFC event, pay-per-view or otherwise. I'm betting fights at BetUS.com. Live betting on all of it, guys. And we have the best bonus in the industry for you. When you sign up with our code 5RSN125, sign up with our code 5RSN125. They give you a 125% sign-up bonus. So if you deposit $100, they give you $125 in free play money on top of your deposit. How good is that? They also have a full casino right there on the website. It's like having Las Vegas in your pocket. The mobile phone version works great as well, by the way. You can play blackjack, all sorts of slot games and table games right there while you're betting the big games. Oh, man, BetUS.com. You bet, you win. You get paid. BetUS.com. And we have an official sports bar here at the Quarterdeck. Guys, you can watch games at the Quarterdeck Seafood Bar and Neighborhood Grill while you bet on games with your smartphone at BetUS.com. How about that for synergy? The Quarterdeck Seafood Bar and Neighborhood Grill. This is a great spot. Whether you just want to chill and enjoy 2-for-1 happy hour and eat some delicious food, or you want to go out there in the evening or during the day on Sunday and watch some big sporting events. They got flat screen, high-def TVs covering every wall. Make the Quarterdeck your spot. They have locations all over Broward County. Go to their website, quarterdeckrestaurants.com. Find the location nearest to you and check out their menu while you are on the site. They got awesome seafood. You can get sushi, build your own poke bowl. Buffalo shrimp is so good. Fresh mahi. They have amazing burgers and sandwiches. Pasta dishes are off the hook. Key lime cheesecake is a great dessert there at the Quarterdeck. As I mentioned, they've got 2-for-1 happy hour all day, every day. The beer is ice cold. They have every UFC pay-per-view fight for zero cover charge. You pay nothing at the door. If you haven't checked out the Quarterdeck just yet, find out why. They've got rave reviews, and everyone's talking about the Quarterdeck. Quarterdeck Seafood Bar and Neighborhood Grill. Come for the food. Stay for the fun. I don't have time to do all the shout outs today. I've actually, the reason why I did the show early today, I made it seem like I did the show early because we had to have an emergency show to talk about Brian Daboll, who may or may not end up being the next head coach. But the real reason why I had to start a few hours early today is I'm adulting today. We have an interview to try and get my son into a certain preschool, which is at 2:45. So the interview's coming up. I gotta do some preparation. I gotta look for some documents. It's a whole thing. So we had to do the show early today. Huge shout out, of course, to Manny Chang in the back, doing an awesome job producing the show. Mr. Sneakerhead himself. Let me throw a few shout outs. David is in, as always. Our guy Mass from the Daily Stakes. I love how he's throwing in these numbers here as well. Mahomes saw a stat today. He saw a stat today that the Chiefs are 3-1 in the playoffs when their in-game win probability dips below 5%. The rest of the NFL is 1-38 since 2018. Mass, I don't know where you found that stat, but that's incredible. That is an incredible stat. That's why Mass is out there making money. He is not the mush, okay? He is not the mush. Oh, yes, Tony, thank you so much for asking this. Yes, we do have our combat sports show tonight, 5 rounds. I will be back in plenty of time. We got the interview at 2:45 with the preschool. I'm going to be back here in plenty of time. 6 o'clock tonight. Frank Zaffrey and I. James Walker has to miss this one, and we're bringing on a guest tonight. Our guy Brendan Tobin is going to come on, combat sports host extraordinaire from 790 The Ticket, who's also host of Tobin and Leroy. He's going to join us tonight. We're going to talk about Francis Ngannou's victory. He won it the least likely way possible. I'm not shocked Ngannou beat Cyril Gane. I'm shocked he beat him by decision. I did not see that coming from 10 miles away. So we'll talk about a lot of stuff with Tobin tonight. That's going to be good. 6 o'clock. Chalk, thank you so much for tuning in. Barney O, thank you so much. He says, just do the deal. Hire the guy and let's go. Our world is not going to be around the way we know it much longer. Are you worried about like sea levels rising? Honestly, Florida might be completely underwater before the Dolphins have a head coach. And then it's not going to matter who's coaching the team, right? I mean, we're going to have to move the team to London because there won't be a Miami anymore. So let's go. Let's get this done. Lucas, thank you so much. He says we should have hired Caldwell. That was one of the guys on my short list at the beginning, and apparently they're not interested. Maybe because he's a little older. I don't know. Ageism is real. S. Harris, thank you so much. I don't know if he was talking about me or about Barry, but either way, how dare you? How dare you? We know everything here on this show. Another David, thank you so much. Andrew, thank you. Indade, thank you. Cap for Life, thank you so much for the super chat. Alex M., who I know is also a fan of the Combat Sports Show. I hope you watch us tonight live at 6. I hope everyone watches us live at 6 right here on 5 Reasons YouTube. Level 2 Noob, thank you so much. True Blazer, thank you. Mark M., thank you so much. He thinks the next coach is going to be Mike McDaniel. I would actually prefer McDaniel over Daboll. If it's going to be so, according to Ian Rappaport, he thinks the finalists are Kellen Moore. I say no to that one. Brian Daboll, that's a maybe for me, and Mike McDaniel. I out of those three, if you're telling me it's one of those three, I would take McDaniel out of those three. But Daboll, I think Daboll could have the edge for a couple of major reasons. He's worked in the AFC East the last 4 years, so he knows the division very well, having been with Buffalo, and he knows the Dolphins very well. He prepares to face them twice every season. And he knows Tua, and he's worked with Tua before. So Daboll might have the edge for those reasons. But if you actually want somebody who's innovative and might really be a goddamn genius, Mike McDaniel would be your guy. And I think if you're going to roll the dice on somebody with no head coaching experience, I would rather get the guy who seems to have the highest possible football IQ out there. So yeah, I'm buying into the McDaniel hype just a little bit. Let me throw a few more shout outs. I'm going to miss a lot of people today, and I apologize because I've got to look for my kid's birth certificate. I have no idea where it is. Could be anywhere. Could be in my car. Could be in a filing cabinet somewhere. It could be lost forever. There's no record of his birth. I don't know. I'm telling you, he was born. I have the child to prove it, that his birth did happen. I just cannot maybe verify what day it actually happened. Andres, thank you so much. Saul, Invictus, thank you so much. Gianmarco, thank you so much for tuning in. Brooklyn Rob, who's another, a lot of the people I'm shouting out I see often. Brooklyn Rob, of course, I don't think he misses a show. Thank you so much for that. Let's see. Let me throw out a few more. Preferably that I have not already shouted out, so we're not doing repeats. Hold on. A lot of repeats today. Oh, Taco Vailoa, thank you so much for tuning in. All right, I know I missed some people, but I have got to run. Huge shout out. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We're going to be back at the regular time tomorrow, 3 p.m. By the way, this is like 99% confirmed. Tuanon is going to be on the show tomorrow. And no softballs will be thrown at Tuanon. I need answers, right? Because I thought irreparable damage was done to Tua's legacy with how poorly he performed, especially in the Tennessee game. But after the bye week, he was really not. He was at a much higher level before the bye week than after the bye week. I'll say it politely. So I need answers from Tuanon. Tuanon is going to join us tomorrow. You know, it's the whole thing. He's going to have a voice modulator, and he's going to be like, wearing a mask. It's this whole thing. Tuanon is going to join us tomorrow, and I think Lee Sterling from ParamountSports.com is going to join us as well. We will talk to everyone again. I'll talk to you tonight on 5 Rounds, and then this show will be back at 3 o'clock tomorrow right here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Ciao.